Hey, what's up, people? Piz Al here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the newly released The Dark Tower. But before I get into the review, I have to make a couple of disclaimers here. Number one, I have not read any of the Stephen King series of books that The Dark Tower is somewhat loosely based upon. And two, I went into The Dark Tower with absolutely no expectations, other than already having heard rumblings that the movie didn't quite turn out so well. I mention those two things only because they most likely factor into my overall opinion of The Dark Tower, because 90 minutes after walking into the movie, yes, a scant 90 minutes, walking out of The Dark Tower, I thought to myself, that wasn't so bad. The story revolves around a young man named Jake who is haunted with these prophetic nightmares of a dark tower which serves as a barrier to keep evil forces from entering our world as well as the other worlds in the multiverse. An evil man in black who is bent on destroying the Dark Tower, as well as a gunslinger who is the multiverse's only hope of stopping the evil man in black in his pursuit of destroying the Dark Tower. The man in black needs Jake because Jake can shine, or Shin because we don't want to get sued. Simpsons reference. So it's up to Jake and the gunslinger to stop the man in black and save our world as well as all the other worlds in the multiverse. Now, your overall opinion of The Dark Tower is going to be heavily based on your expectations going into the film. If you're a fan of the Stephen King series of books and you're expecting this epic universe building kind of movie that's going to launch an entire series of Dark Tower movies and create this whole Stephen King universe, you're going to be very, very disappointed. If you walk into The Dark Tower expecting a pretty lean and mean 90-minute popcorn fantasy movie, you'll probably be more or less entertained. Now, as a 90-minute popcorn fantasy movie, The Dark Tower hits pretty much all the beats you would expect from a 90-minute popcorn fantasy film. It moves pretty swiftly. Again, it's only 90 minutes. The action sequences are pretty good. The performances all around are really good, particularly Idris Elba and the young man who plays Jake. Their relationship in the film is really sort of the crux of the movie, and it works more than it doesn't work. Idris Elba's performance is really good. Idris Elba is pretty much good in everything. That character in the hands of a lesser actor would have definitely brought the movie down significantly. On the other hand, The Dark Tower definitely felt like a movie that went through a lot of reshoots and a lot of recuts. I actually had some Suicide Squad flashbacks watching The Dark Tower because there were some very glaring sequences in the film where I was like, yep, that's a reshoot. That was part of a reshoot. And the movie just kind of feels incomplete in that I'm sure there's a lot of footage that was cut out of the theatrical version of The Dark Tower. They spend very little time discussing or trying to build up this multiverse, the idea that Earth is just one existence. It's just one reality of many that the Dark Tower is in the middle of protecting. They actually spend what seems to be very little time just in this other universe, to be perfectly honest. It seems like a lot of the movie, the bulk of the movie, takes place on Earth. So the movie definitely had that feeling of there was a lot cut out of it. There's also some really kind of flat moments in the film as well. There's a couple of moments between Jake and the gunslinger that are supposed to be like really heavy-hitting emotional moments that just kind of felt flat. Matthew McConaughey's performance as the Man in Black, I have really mixed feelings on it. He plays it very, very suave, very, very low-key. I think maybe a little too low-key. I don't want to say McConaughey's performance was kind of sleepy. It's just that his evil Man in Black was just kind of not very passionate about being evil. It's just kind of the impression that I got. It seems like he was more passionate about having really cool clothes and really cool spiky hair and and the whole evil thing was just something to do, just a hobby. I don't know. Overall, I had a pretty good time with The Dark Tower. However, again, I've not read any of the Stephen King series of books, and I went into the film with absolutely no expectations. It is an easy breezy 90-minute popcorn fantasy movie and nothing more. Those who are fans of the novels and are expecting a big, epic, universe building kind of treatment, the same treatment that the Lord of the Rings adaptations got. If you're expecting that kind of treatment to The Dark Tower, you're going to be really, really disappointed because it's just not there. There were a lot of Easter eggs, we'll just say, to other Stephen King properties that I noticed. I'm sure there were probably a lot more thrown in there that I overlooked. But one thing I have to say I was appreciative of with The Dark Tower was that it didn't feel like the kind of movie whose existence was simply to set up the next movie. The Dark Tower had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it didn't set up another Dark Tower movie. It didn't set up a whole universe of other Stephen King properties. And I found that to be really refreshing because it seems like today you don't have standalone movies anymore. You have pieces of a universe. And every movie that's released today its intention is to set up the next movie. And then that movie's intention is to set up the next movie. There's no real beginning, middle, and end. You're always kind of stuck in the middle. And that to me gets really redundant and really boring. And I've seen that and seen that and seen that until, quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all these universes. We don't need every movie doesn't need to be part of a universe. And I didn't feel like The Dark Tower's sole purpose for existing was to set up the next movie or the next, universe, to create this Stephen King universe. Now, granted, if The Dark Tower makes a ton of money, then, there will be more Dark Tower movies. There'll probably be a lot more, Stephen King properties adapted and be added to this universe. But The Dark Tower in and of itself felt like a complete film to me, with a beginning, with a middle, with an end that did not set up anything other than the movie itself. And I appreciated that, and I found that quite refreshing these days. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that my mostly positive review of The Dark Tower is definitely going to be in the minority, particularly amongst hardcore fans of the book series. However, I did have a mostly positive experience watching The Dark Tower. And again, how you feel about the movie is definitely going to be predicated upon your expectations going in to The Dark Tower. If you've seen The Dark Tower, please let me know what you think of it down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.